Okay, good afternoon. I want also to thank the people who invited me. I think it's important that you'll see that objects can be also used to study history and daily life, which is my topic, the study of daily life through objects, and to see that Jewish culture is not based only on written materials, but also there are objects that can teach us a lot about the past. So I'm all the time hunting for old objects and old photographs to see what we can reveal from them. And in this lecture, I want to show you one small field, and this is metal amulets and of the past, of the period of about 1850 till 1920, 25, that I photographed from private collections, objects that were brought to Israel by immigrants from Iran and Kurdistan, or Iran, Kurdish Iran, and how much they can teach us about the troubles of daily life in the past. Now, all of you know, I mean, that's not something that is new and special to Iran, that life in the past, of course, was much more difficult. It wasn't as convenient as in our time. Doctors were not available always. There were many troubles in life, and it required all the time. I mean, people were looking for ways to overcome difficulties. Vera mentioned this morning, and I think Peggy as well, books of charms and spells that tell you what to do in all kinds of occasions when you have trouble finding a source of livelihood, when the wife cannot bear a child, when someone is sick, and so on and so forth. There were many troubles in life in the past, and there were many spells and charms for them. But I'm not going to speak about this, because this is a whole field in itself. You know, what people did, what kind of, let's say, sympathetic magic they did to overcome these difficulties. I'm going to speak about, as I said, about objects that were prepared especially for these occasions, and some of them are really works of art. They are so magnificent, really. We can see so much that was invested on them, and each one has a story to tell, and they'll see what's the basic lines. Now, we can distinguish between several types of objects that were prepared by men to protect, and one, maybe the most important category, and with that I want to open, is the jewelry. I mean, jewelry was used in the past, and we know it also from really time immemorial, really. The jewelry was mainly done to protect. I mean, it fulfilled double purpose, you can say. It beautified the person who wore it, especially in the lands that later became lands of Islam, but also in other parts of the world, and at the same time to protect. So a lot of thinking was invested of how to make this object attractive on one hand, and also to protect the person, so that the protection is hidden in a way, and only for those who understand, let's say the small group that is part of this, let's say, collective memory of this group, can identify and understand and use it in the proper way. But for the others, it will seem just as a nice object that is beautifying the person and showing its status, the status of that person, and so on. When you look at old photographs from the Middle East, from Iran, from all the countries that, the Arab countries of today, you see that every time we see pictures of women that stand in front of the camera, from the time that we have pictures, let's say from the second half of the 19th century, they're all always with jewelry. I mean, that jewelry is something that definitely represents the woman and shows her status, who she is, and so on. Jewelry can appear in all parts of the body. It's like something basic. By the way, most of these photographs that we see are from Esther's children, and I'm thankful so much for this book, for bringing all this material together. And you see, I mean, it covers all their body. Sometimes it's like weighing kilograms. Yes, we know it as, again, from other countries as well, Yemen, Morocco, and so on. These are all Jewish women and children that we see in these pictures, that on bracelets or necklaces, or on the foot as well, everywhere, on the forehead. All these are beautiful jewelry, but at the same time, as I said, it's protective. When you look close up with this, you can see some of the inscriptions that appear. You can see how these were used. Let's see if I can point. For example, this is a Kurdish child. We can see what he's wearing here with the coins. I mean, yes, you see the coins that I'll come back to them later with the lion, yes. Or this child here with his sister, and she has something on her forehead, which is this object that is below, in the shape of the crescent, the shape of the moon, which was considered very good for a girl, because that's the moon is compared to a baby girl or to a female in general. It has a cycle like the woman. It comes full once every month. There is a cycle like the woman, and it's like a good omen for her to get pregnant and so on. So that child has it on her forehead. So it looks like something to beautify her forehead, but it also protects her, or a good sign for her to become pregnant. Even in the 40s, before we look at the amulets themselves, even in the 40s, these pictures were taken just before coming to Israel, I mean, for the mass immigration of 51. You can see that the modern-looking children, in this case, brother and sister, parents, the child is the father of one of my students in the folklore department in Jerusalem, and that's his sister. In the 40s, they're still like all their bodies covered with amulets. They're modern-looking children, yes, but they have this jewelry, boys and girls as well. Now, we can say in general that there are two populations that are wearing these amulets, and let's begin with the first one. This is the women, and you can see a Kurdish woman on the right and the one from Hamadan on the left. It's an Iraqi Kurdish woman, that's true, but what she's wearing is very typical of Iran as well. You see this kamea, this amulet that she's wearing in front of her, on her chest. It says Adonai Shaddai. I mean, this object is called Shaddai. And by the way, if a woman, traditional woman from Iran or from Kurdistan would see this, she would immediately start to kiss it, because this is like an object of magic. They would wear it on their chest, and it's exposed. Everyone can see it, and the women usually would not know what is written on it. They would not be able to read the Hebrew, but they know this is Hebrew. They know this was written by a Chacham. They know it has the power that was invested to this Chacham to write it, and they would feel very much protected walking with it. I mean, this is, let's say, you can say a sort of ID card. First of all, it tells they're Jewish. Yes, for everybody that sees them. Yes, because it's written in Hebrew. For them, it gives confidence because the names of God are written on it, and all kind of other names of angels and so on, some of which maybe I'll discuss later. And also it shows their status, because these objects are usually made of silver, and the more they put of this, of course, they show who they are. And as one anthropologist defined the woman in, let's say, 19th century in Islamic countries, Jewish or Muslim, she's a walking bank, you could say. Because everything that she has, all her property, the only property that belongs to her actually is the jewelry that she's carrying. So this amuletic jewelry is fulfilling several functions at the same time. And when you look now close up at some of these amulets, you see how beautiful objects of jewelry they are, how attractive they are. But when you look close up, I mean, of those in the past, many of them will have inscriptions. Yes, many of them will have inscriptions that are, of course, very significant. And as I said, we'll discuss some of this later. And they're done as pieces of jewelry to begin with. I mean, it can be a ring, like the one on the left. Definitely an amulet, yes, that has the names here, in this case, to protect the woman in childbirth. Or as something that was very popular in Iran, is to put in the upper arm, yes, like in this section, for boys and girls as well. And it has the names of the wearer, and it has a red string. I mean, the red string is also important. The colors have importance, and so on. And I hope to discuss some of this. And some of these amulets that are done as jewelry, again, are so magnificent. Of course, not everybody could have something like that. Like the one on the left is made of gold. Made of gold, not many people would be able to commission a necklace made of gold and walk with it in the streets every day. This one on the left is one like that. It has a precious stone in the center, the blue eye, again, for protection, definitely. The blue eye that is in the center against the evil eye that is, you know, that's the main purpose of wearing this, is to protect you from the evil eye. Or the one on the right, it's made of several materials, of glass and precious stones, and it's written and painted by a scribe and an artist. There's so much work invested in this to make something like this so attractive. I'm sure, I mean, I know about 4 or 5 of this, so it shows how rare something like this was, but you can see how much work they would invest in something, in a piece of a jewelry, of amuletic jewelry of this type. And we know also that they were used while women were walking with this on their chest. This is the same object on both sides, and you can see on one side there are typical inscriptions, the names of God, and some other images. Maybe we have time to discuss what else it contains. But the other side is a mirror. The other side is a mirror so that she can look. It's on her chest. She can look at it. The mirror is also to expel evil forces and to beautify herself. I mean, that's something that we know, that she can use this. And sometimes it's even a box of jewelry that she's wearing in front of her, like this one. It can open. You see, it's the same object here. It can open here. This is how it's open. You can put all the objects that you need for makeup inside here, and there is a mirror, and she's walking with this on her chest, and with the names of the angels and the names of God to protect her. All this is together. Again, all this is together, serving multi-purpose. Many of these amulets, silver amulets of Iran, have the names of the person for whom it was done, because every object that we are looking here, we are seeing here on the screen now, is one-time object to serve a particular person, totally unlike, let's say, the Jewish amulets of Europe, for example, of Ashkenazi and Sephardi Europe. While in, let's say, in Germany or in Holland or in Italy, amulets can be reused over time and again and so on, and also many of them were made of paper. In Iran, in Morocco, in Yemen, they were first of all made of silver. So that's one thing that makes them distinct from the European ones. And they are done for particular purpose, for a particular person. And once, let's say, that purpose is finished, yes, that, let's say, a woman cannot deliver a baby, but she did deliver, then the amulet is melted down and a new one is done. So the fact that we have very few, I mean, that survived from previous time, it's obvious because they were not preserved as art objects. But those that came, as I said, with immigration to Israel, and the earliest are from the late 19th century, the second half of the 19th century, on the back, many of them have the names of the person for whom it was done. So you can see that it's specific objects for whom it was done. And many of them are, of course, for women, yes, because they need this more than men. Al-Shem, for example, the one on the left, Al-Shem Sarah noledet min Esther. It was done for Sarah that was born to Esther, and we have the date, very rare, but few of them have the date, Kislev Shnat Tarlag, 1873, or the one on the right, Rachel noledet min Bigama, which name that I don't know, Taryat, 1859. So it's very early, actually. It's the back side of the amulet. This is what's on her chest. What the front has the beautiful images and so on. And sometimes here, this one, two other from the back, Rachma Bat Rachel on the left, and here on the right is the only one that I found that has two names. So this is a really exceptional example of an object that was reused by the daughter of the original person for whom it was made. The original, I mean, it was made for Nana Jan Bat Rachel, and then her daughter apparently used it sometime later, which is really exceptional. But you see Simcha Bat Nana Jan, it was added up. It's not in the center like the usual inscription. It was added later. Somehow the amulet was preserved and was used by the daughter of the original wearer. And so that's how it survived, really. Sometimes very few of these have the name in front. Yes, usually they have them only in the back. But here I'm showing you two that have the name in front. Here is Zuleka Bat Mulaim. That's this name that I asked some people about it, a name that they don't know. And here is Leah Min Ezra. Here, the last line has their name, which is usually unusual. Now, very few, I think less than 10%, have male names. I mean, yes, 90% are female, about 10 or even less. I'm showing you the two that I found with male names. The one on the left, Menashe ben Amula Menashe, and the other one, the Chamsa, who is David ben Amula Ezra. Yes, I mean, again, you have names of males that are very unusual. As I said, most of them are for women. Some of them also tell you for which, besides the names of the angels and so on, they have the inscriptions that tell you for which purpose it was done. And you can see it's added in a different script. This is large hollow letters that are beautiful and so on. But here it has at the end, the scribe, the silversmith added this, Shamreni ve'azreni mikol mine ra ve'en hara u'mikol mine kishuf atzileni. Yes, save me, God, and help me from all kind of evil eye. That's the most important power that you fight against, the evil eye. And help me and save me from all kind of sorcery and of all harm, save me and so on. So this is added at the end. At the bottom, or these two, for example, both of them very similar, probably done by the same person. It has again the name in front, like here, Jan Bat Mula Yosef, and it says, "B'schut elu hashemot shelo tapil et pri bitna ad shetolid bizmana." Yes, and the merit of these names that are written here, yes, these are names of God that it's a whole discussion to understand this name, but We don't have time to do it. But anyway, in merit of this name, she will not miscarry her baby until it is born in time. Yes, she would walk with it all the 9 months, especially women who lost their children in the past, until the baby is born, hopefully born well, because most of the babies actually died in childbirth. I mean, we have almost 90%, 50% of mortality at childbirth, according to some statistics. But then we saw something like that was very common. Yes, see the name also in the other one, a very strange name, Kashwar Bat Chanom, is the woman that for whom it was done. Now, there is also for women that lost several kids, yes, I mean, several babies during her pregnancy. This was another device that was made, a padlock. She would walk with this. It looks like a lock, yes, so that, you know, that's to lock the womb so that the baby does not fall. There's no miscarriage. Again, we know it from other Islamic communities, Jewish Islamic communities. For example, this is a khamsa from Morocco, and you see there is a key to open the womb and a lock to lock it once she's pregnant. So in Iran, they were doing this. All this, the three these are Iranians, and all in the shape of a padlock, so that, you know, now she won't lose her baby. We get finally to childbirth after the 9 months. Hopefully the baby will be born safe. And in the few miniatures that we have from the Judeo-Persian manuscripts that Vera was speaking about, we have a scene of the childbirth that is very well known. What the point that I want to emphasize here, that we see Queen Esther or other women that are shown this way, supported by an angel. The angel that supports the woman, because it's such a difficult time during childbirth, because it causes so many problems to the woman that she knows that her baby might die and then she would lose her respect and so on. She needs like heavenly power, you can say, at this time. And this, again, this tradition is going back to antiquity, like she's protected by angel, and you see she's kneeling down to deliver the baby. I'm showing you an image from ancient Egypt of the same scene, and this woman is about to deliver a baby, kneeling down, and there are two goddesses that help her during childbirth, because this is the time that you need the help of the gods, yes? In Europe, for example, you have to now speak a little bit about childbirth. In Europe, we don't have gods that help you, or you don't have visible, especially not in the Jewish tradition. And the woman is not kneeling down, but she's sitting on the birthing chair that you see on the left. This is from Germany, and we see this kind of birthing chair that she's sitting on, this lady in Nuremberg. But there is another object that is representing the God, the presence of God in the room, and this is the Torah scroll. You see this object that's marked with C. It's the holiest object that the Jew can possess. It's brought to the delivery room so that if in Iran they would show an angel or God, here they would bring the Torah scroll, the holiest object, into the room to protect her. When we go back now to Islamic lands, we see what they did in Afghanistan, in Kurdistan, in Iran as well. This is the German Torah scroll that we see was brought. In Iran, in Kurdistan, in Afghanistan, from all these countries I have evidence about this, they would bring the rimonim from the Sifrei Torah, the Torah finials, to the woman delivering the baby. They would feel the rimon can open here in the center. Here, you see, it has two parts. They would fill it with water. The Chacham would bless this water, and they would give the woman, while delivering the baby, to drink, and so that's how the baby is protected. Now, some of these amulets also show who are those who have to protect the woman. I mean, especially, you know, in times of trouble, again, you have very few of these amulets, not that many, that have more explicit imagery that is really unique to Iran, because we don't have that in other Jewish cultures that these are illustrated. These are the three angels that are supposed to protect the woman. Here you see three Persian amulets that are showing Sanoi, Sansnoi, and Samanglaf, these three bizarre-looking angels that are supposed to come and protect the woman during delivery. Yes? Where these images are taken from, it's very easy to tell, because it's from a printed book that is very well known, Sefer Raziel HaMalach, the book of Raziel the angel, that is the angel nominated on secrets. The book was printed for the first time in 1701 in Amsterdam by a Sephardi printer, and this image of these three angels appears there. The book was printed in many, many editions. It was copied in many manuscripts. And I myself have about 50 different editions of it. I mean, it's very popular. Until today, you can buy it in the shuk for 5 shekels. and put it in your pocket and be protected. But anyway, these angels are illustrated there, but only in Iran they were copied in this period that I'm talking about, not in any other Islamic countries. And also only in Iran, which is really very important and I think unusual, is that only in Iran we have Lilith herself, the woman, the devil that kills the babies or harms the woman during labor. The only place in the Jewish world that they know in modern times that she is illustrated, and Professor Shaked maybe can correct me on that, because in antiquity she's shown probably as well, but in the modern period it's only in Iran. We have about, so far I found about 9 of these amulets that show Lilith, this frightening figure, Lilith in chains, Lilith Asura Be'azikim, as it says here, on her belly. And it says on her belly also how it's to be used. Shmira le'el danolat shelo yizok le'olam sanoi sansnom v'samaglav. This is to preserve the baby that is about to be born so that there's no harm to him. And you can see how Lilith looks very frightening. She has this tooth and so on. But how she's protected, she's in chains. You see, these are the chains that surround her. Or she has Birkat Kohanim, the priestly blessing, written around her body or here above, so that you know that because this is maybe the most amuletic verse you can say in the Bible. God preserve you and keep his eye on you and so on. So it's written around her so that she cannot, let's say, go out of this amulet and harm the lady or her baby. There is another thing that is written, you see, surrounding Lilith. We see biblical couples, Adam וחווה, אברהם ושרה, יצחק רבקה, יעקב ולאה, דוד ובת שבע, biblical couples from whom were born good children, you can say, or the fathers and mothers of the nation. And very clearly, who is missing? Yaakov, Leah, Rachel is missing, Rachel is missing because she died during childbirth. Her name is not mentioned. And this is, again, something that is very common among other Jewish communities. I'm sorry, went back. For example, here you see on the left a paper-cut amulet from Poland, and on the right from Casablanca, from Dar el-Baida, from Casablanca. And you see the same couples again. I mean, it's appear Avraham ושרה, יצחק ורבקה, יעקב ולאה. Rachel is not mentioned. This one in Poland, Avraham ושרה, and so on. The same couples. Poland, Yemen, Iran, Morocco. Popular culture is apparently the one that reigns supreme in this case. What is unique to Iran, this is a thing I didn't find it any other place, that you call, despite the fact that Rachel is not mentioned, there are some amulets that mention many women, good women of the Bible. Here I'm showing you 2 that are extremely beautiful, especially the one on the left. And you see this one, very feminist amulet. I think it should be reproduced. You see Sarah, Miriam, Dvorah, Hannah, Abigail, Huldah, Esther, Shiva Neviot, it says, Sheva Neviot, 7 prophetess. I mean, all the names of these good women. Or this one also has Sarah, let me show you here, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah, yes? The names of, let's say, the matriarchs or the good women from the Bible for women in about to deliver a baby, which is really unusual, very, I think, even in European Jewish culture. Okay. I want now to speak a few minutes about another life cycle event that is very crucial. We spoke about childbirth. Another life cycle event that needs a lot of protection is marriage. And we know now, again, this is not something unique to Iran. It's all over that at the time of the wedding, the bridegroom and the bride are considered very, you know, that they can be injured and can be many bad things happen to them. The oldest custom that I know that is still practiced until today is the breaking of the glass at the wedding. You can see the breaking of the glass in German Jewish wedding in the 18th century. And the breaking of the glass was really to protect the bride and the bridegroom. Today we say in commemoration of Jerusalem, but the way they did it, they would break a glass that's filled with wine so that when the devils come to harm the bride and the bridegroom, they will drink from the wine, they will get drunk and be wounded from the shattered glass. This is really the origin of this custom in medieval Germany. There was a special stone, Hupperstein, on which they broke the stone. But anyway, to show us even that the Yakim were very worried about the bride and the bridegroom. When we get to Iran, then we see that's what flourished really more than any other country that, again, that I know of, any other Jewish community, is amulets for the bride and the bridegroom. First of all, we have that, of course, in the Islamic society as well. This is a Muslim amulet for the bride and the bridegroom that are shown here. All the others are Jewish. Yes, you see the pictures of the bride and bridegroom. The names sometimes are written. This would be produced before the wedding. There are many other acts that are done, but this is the amulet, especially for the two of them. Yes, here you can see, for example, the couple, very naive, illustrated, but in between them you see the Khamsa. Yes, the Khamsa to protect them, to bring peace between them and protect them in the name of God, in the name of the five. That is something big. Sometimes you can even tell from the way they are dressed, who they are, which period it was done, although there are no dates here. But this is definitely Qajar style. I mean, you can see the way that they are shown, the style of the costumes, the hat of the male. I mean, you can tell definitely that this is the male. And of course, you can compare it to this famous picture in private collection in Jerusalem from the Qajar period. And you can see the Khatan, the Arus, Shlomo, playing the tar like we saw yesterday, and he's dressed with the same type of hat, while Rachel, his wife, Rachel, is looking at the mirror like we saw before, and beautifying herself. Okay, now, also in the Ketubot, you find this kind of protection. For example, I don't know how many look at this material, but notice some tiny details. In the Ketubot of Herat, for example, it is always repeated. There are 5 arches above the text, 5 arches to bring 5 to the bride and the bridegroom. 5 witnesses sign, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because the number 5 is, of course, very protective. The wedding is on Thursday. The dowry is 5,505, and so on. As much as 5 as you can bring it, the better. The more 5 is better, yes? Or this one from Isfahan, this ketubah. It has an amulet illustrated on the page of paper itself. I mean, and they show detail of this. Look how much investment is done here to write all this in small letters, this amulet, to copy from a metal amulet and have it on the ketubah to protect the bride and the bridegroom in this very dangerous time. What is illustrated there is the menorah. The menorah done from Psalm 67. This is something, again, very common in Islamic countries. The menorah, Psalm 67, that opens with these words, "L'matziach b'nginot mizmor shir." This is the first verse, and then there are 7 verses. Each one of the 7 verses is written as one of the branches of the menorah. And this we know since the Middle Ages, and of course it's found in many amulets. Yes, I mean the menorah in the shape of, I mean Psalm 67, the shape of the menorah. All these are Iranian amulets of this type, some in paper, some in silver, but it's like something that once you have the menorah on you, you are protected. Until today, if you, for example, if you deliver a baby in Shaarei Tzedek Hospital in Jerusalem, they will give you something like this, and they will tell you, כל האומר מזמור ס"ז בצורת המנורה, לא יאונה לו כל רע. No bad will happen to you if you have this menorah on you. Let me, if you have a few more minutes, or how much? Okay, 2 minutes. Okay, I maybe show you just one element that is very familiar to many of you and see that mentioned before, is the lion with the sun that appears on many of these amulets. And of course, it appears also with the coins, like Orly, you have the coin, this kind of coin, that from the 19th century. It appears on the many of the amulets, this lion, that is, some of them, it's in the center, like the center of the amulet is the lion with the sun, this amulet maybe from Isfahan. Of course, we know this motif very well. It's very popular in Iranian culture, the national emblem. We know it from the 14th century at least, that it appears with the sword from the 16th century. It's a symbol of the royalty in Iran and so on. And so the question is, what does it do in the ketubot and on the amulets? Yes, Isfahan ketubot, as many of you I'm sure know, it's very prominent emblem, yes? And you can see it in the streets. I wasn't in Iran, but I was in Uzbekistan, and you can see in the madrasa in Samarkand, this element is so dominant. Everyone can see it. Everyone knows what it means. Why put it on all these Jewish objects? So let me conclude with that. I'll show you. I mean, what is the reason? I think, in my opinion, is this represents the power of God. It represents the power of the local ruler. That's true. Can be the Persian king or whatever, I mean, on the flag later and so on. But for the Jews, like we know in other cultures, other Jewish cultures, they would take a motif from the society and use it in double meaning or more than one meaning. I mean, on this lion, on this amulet, on the belly of the lion is written Agla. Agla, Ata Gibor Leolam Adonai, comparing God to the Almighty, to Shaddai. yes, this word, this, let's say, four-letter name of God is very popular. Writing on the lion is, of course, not accident, because the lion is a symbol of the mightness, the king of the animals, yes? In this way would appear, let me skip this, it would appear in this way on the amulets is the lion, okay. Okay, let me skip to the last thing I want to show you, is how this was all revived in recent times. I mean, for 40 years, all this culture died, you can say. It was still done by those who came from Iran to the Holy Land in the late 19th century in the old Yishuv, like Moshe Shah Mizrahi that came from Tehran to Jerusalem in 1890, and they did amulets like it was done in Iran, and so on. And then he died. And the last years, all this is revived. All this culture is now, again, very flourishing in Israel. I want to show that even this Sanois and Samanglav, you can order them they're called Kabbalistic beasties. And anyway, so, and the belt buckle is only Iranian tradition to have it as an amulet. Now it's very popular in Israel. It was Chai and so on with the Iranian Khamsa. Okay, toda rabba. Stop here.
This has been a presentation of the Library of Congress. Visit us at loc.gov.